Welcome back to Game On. Hey, we now know, of course, after the toss that Australia will be bowling first, as is the norm, it seems, for most captains and teams in this tournament. That's in Abu Dhabi. West Indies will be batting first, therefore. If we just check on the teams, the captains did tell us the teams at the toss. There's the odd change. One change in the West Indies team, but for Australia, they are keeping the same 11. So if you can look at those teams right now, maybe. West Indies, first of all, they'll be batting first. So, at the top of the order, Evan Lewis has made runs in the tournament. Chris Gale basically hasn't. The people who've made runs in the middle order are Puran and Hetmeyer. Roston Chase has made a few. He's come in as an all-rounder and will bowl some off-spin as well. For Karan Pollard, the captain, it'd be a good day for him to step up as well. He was talking about their chances just now at the toss. And it would be nice if he were to lead from the front if he possibly can. The bowling is different today. They've taken out Rampal. So they've taken out a seam bowler, put in another spin bowler, Hayden Walsh, who Viv has been championing. He's the wrist spinner from Antigua who's come in. And it's an interesting looking bowling lineup because there's basically no genuine pace there. There are all-rounders. Jason Holder, of course, came into the team halfway through this Super 12s after an injury elsewhere. So it'll be interesting to see what this attack can do today. Now, up against them for, up against them for Australia. Let's try and have a look at the Australian team as well. Finch and Warner can be very dangerous up front. Mitchell Marsh at 3. Maxwell, the Enigma, Viv's Enigma, is at 4. Smith, Stoinis, Wade, Cummins, Stark, Zampa, Hazelwood. Now that's an attack.
Yeah, it's a very, very balanced squad, and it seems that they've found the right balance. They are sticking with it, whether the condition changes, whether the venue changes. But this squad 11 has given them the right balance to go forward. पहला जो हम इसमें डिस्कस करेंगे वो जॉश हेजलवुड को करेंगे. उनकी बॉलिंग को पिच भी हमने देखा है. हमने पिच भी देखा है कि ग्रीन है. फास्ट बॉलर्स को थोड़ा सा हेल्प मिल सकता है. थोड़ा सा ग्रास नज़र आया इस पिच के ऊपर. वो क्रैक्स की जो बात इन बिशप कर रहे थे कि हेजलवुड उनको ज़्यादा यूज़ कर सकता है, तो इनका बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल रहा है इस वर्ल्ड कप में अभी तक. जॉश हेजलवुड
बिल्कुल सही मेंशन किया. और ऑब्वियसली क्लेवर बॉलर है, उसने पिच को देखा होगा और जो वो क्रैक्स और जहाँ पे हल्के तौर से वो घास वगैरह है तो डेफिनेटली वो उसको यूज़ करेगा और उससे फ़ायदा लेगा. ओवरऑल वो जितना चाहे वो जिस टाइप की भी पिच हो, लेकिन वो इतना कंसिस्टेंट है अपने लाइन और लेंथ के साथ कि वो किसी भी पिच पे नए बॉल के साथ बैट्समैन को डिस्टर्ब कर सकता है. तो वंस अगेन मेरे ख्याल से उसके लिए एक आइडियल पिच मिला है और वो होप करेगा कि वो जिस तरह के पास्ट के मैचेस में, लास्ट मैचेस में उसने ऑस्ट्रेलिया को ऊपर से विकेट दिलाई, स्टिल उससे वही परफॉर्मेंस देख रहे होंगे ऑस्ट्रेलियन टीम और वो खुद भी होप कर रहे हैं कि इस विकेट से फ़ायदा नहीं.
बिल्कुल. और राशिद भाई जो 11 इन्होंने खिलाई है, हमने देखा कि स्मिथ और मैक्सवेल थोड़ा सा स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं. उस तरह की अभी तक बैटिंग नहीं की, तो मिच मार्श की ज़रूरत उनको लग रही है क्योंकि और पिछले मैच में मिच मार्श ने थोड़े ही रन्स थे, 8 बॉलों पे कोई 15 रन्स थे, पर उन्होंने भी अपना थोड़ा सा एलिमेंट दिखाया है. तो ये बड़ी तगड़ी 11 तो लग रही है.
नहीं, इनकी जो फॉर्मेशन है वो उसमें मिक्स एंड मैच आप कह सकते हैं कि कुछ अटैकिंग प्लेयर है, कुछ डिफेंसिव प्लेयर. लाइक स्मिथ एक ऐसा प्लेयर है जो कि टीम को लेके चलेगा. मार्श भी कुछ प्रॉपर प्लेयर है, मतलब पावर हिटर भी है, लेकिन क्या है गेम को लेके चलेगा. इसलिए इनके लिए ये बैटर बहुत ज़रूरी हैं. मैथ्यू वेड बहुत ही गुड परफॉर्मेंस है इन डोमेस्टिक एज ए ओपनर. बहुत ही परफॉर्म किया. मैथ्यू वेड हो जाए या एलेक्स कैरी हो जाए, ये टॉप ऑर्डर के बैट्समैन है. लेकिन यहाँ पे 5 नंबर पे आके वो परफॉर्मेंस नज़र नहीं आ रही इनकी है, ना आएगी, क्योंकि ये जो T20 में ये खेलते ही ओपन है. मैथ्यू वेड हो गए, समटाइम स्टॉइनिस अपने टीम के लिए एज ए ओपनर बैटिंग करते हैं. तो मोस्टली ओपनर्स हैं इनकी टीम में. लेकिन जब ज़रूरत पड़ती है अटैकिंग की, नंबर 4, नंबर 5, नंबर 6, नंबर 7, तो इनके पास प्लेयर्स मौजूद हैं. लाइक मैक्सवेल हो गया, स्टॉइनिस हो गया, मैथ्यू वेड हो गया, मिचेल स्टार्क है. ये ऐसे प्लेयर हैं जो कि ऑन अ डे ये अच्छा परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं. 200 भी ये कर सकते हैं और उसको चेज भी करने की सलाहियत है इनकी टीम में.
बिल्कुल सलाहियत.
एक चीज़, जब ये सिलेक्शन हम करते हैं नेशनल टीम की, इवन इन पाकिस्तान, इवन if you look at PSL, IPL, Big Bash, all the performers, top performers are top 3.
Same as West Indies.
So when you selecting a national team, that's where the problem comes. he performed at number 1, 2, 3 position, and you'd select him and play him number 6. So that's the problem. Even though the selector has to understand, okay, he performed, but this is what we have, our top 3, and now we're looking for a middle orders like number 5, 6 has to be a people who performed in that particular batting order.
I mean, there are exceptions. The odd one, I take it. For instance, Moeen Ali for England has batted virtually everywhere from sort of 1 to 9 in all forms of the game as
The
well.
Stoners, I haven't seen him batting elsewhere than number 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So when you're offering him come and deliver at number 6, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's tricky, right. For West Indies, okay, we've got this intriguing contest now between the openers and the likes of Hazelwood, Stark and this Australian attack. But the form men are Hetmeyer for 1, who played a super knock the other day, again sadly in a losing cause. But at least there are 1 or 2, like Shimron Hetmeyer, showing that little bit of ability, pride, determination and skill.
Well, we saw what Hetmeyer can do in a losing cause. Puran looked pretty good himself. And that basically says good for the future, that West Indies can look, that they have 2 individuals who can get it done at the top of the order. But I'm really disappointed with the fact seeing Chris here again at this stage. Maybe some may be thinking along the emotional side of things. A guy who would have done so well for you in the past, to give him the best send-off that's possible. But the send-off that I think would be quite useful for West Indies today, especially with the position that they're in, is for him to score some runs today and fly off into the sunset.
If you get to write your own scripts, if you get to dictate what happens to you, then yes, lovely for Chris Gower.
Yeah, it would be nice for him. Because as I said, he's been over the years an entertaining individual, but I do not quite see if they're thinking about the future as well, because you would have had people who are sitting on the bench like Andre Fletcher, who haven't had a chance. You look at O'Shane Thomas as well in terms of what he brings in terms of pace and wicket-taking ability. And to me, maybe it's just a learning trip for them at this particular point, and hopefully they may learn from this particular experience.
Well, they get to observe.
That's right.
But they get to observe the good and the bad.
Well, they would have seen it all.
They've definitely seen it all in this tournament. And the good includes, as we say, now the other, actually you mentioned him, the other guy who got runs the other day, Nicholas Puran, who is a super talented cricketer, but came into this tournament on a run of poor form. But luckily for him personally, and all being well for West Indies today from that point of view, he's discovered his form again.
He's also vice captain, and I think it is a good move, and hopefully that we can see the best of Nicholas Puran when most of the individuals who would have retired, and because as a young captain as well, you're going to need individuals around you who can be of great help. So I'm hoping that he finds that, and if he does, I still see a bright future for the Windies. I'm one of these individuals that never loses hope. I've always believed that when you're up, I'm with you. Also, if you go down, I'm going down in the trenches with you as well. And I hope that's the way some of these folks are thinking.
Do you think Pollard's the man to lead this team?
I backed him as captain when he first came into this team. I think he's, but we have not quite seen the best of him in this particular tournament. But he has been good throughout before he got here.
I asked that because you mentioned Nicholas Puran as vice captain and therefore a potential leader in the future. And it's not long, it's only a year or so until the next World T20, with these schedules having been mucked around by events beyond our control. So if there's a possibility, for instance, that Puran might come back next time as captain.
You never know, because I do not think Pollard, he looks like he wants to continue. And
okay, right. There is a rule in this game that I've noticed as a former player, is that there are times you say, I want to continue, and times someone goes, excuse me, you're not playing well enough, would you mind? They get the wheelbarrow and off you go. Okay, on that note, we'll leave that for later. On that note, let's cross live to the ground now and see what happens between Australia and West Indies in Abu Dhabi.
1